Alrighty, well, the verse we're about to read, Romans 12:1 and 2, it has the potential to forever change your life if you apply the truth and direction in it. Now, as well as my interpretation, I took some guidance and direction from an article that's in the bio, but it's by Keith Krell, and then context notes from Bible.org. So as Keith says, quote, "These are some of the most important and strategic words ever penned in human history." And I agree. I mean, 4 years ago, I really studied this verse, and it's helped me answer the biggest questions of my life, which are, what am I supposed to do next, and how am I supposed to live? And I wasn't given a blueprint of exactly what to do, but I was put on the right path, and that's what this can do for you. So just for context, this is Paul writing to the church in Rome, which wasn't just one big church. It was a series of smaller home-styled churches. And the Romans, which is interesting because this is a message for Jews and Gentiles. And then, this is an important note from Bible.org. After devoting 11 chapters to heavy-duty theology, Paul transitions in chapter 12 from doctrine to duty, from creed to conduct, and from belief to behavior. So he says, quote, "In light of what God has done, here's how we should live." What may have stood out the most to me is that Paul truly believes that you haven't really learned the Word until you live the Word. And that is essential for us. So, here we go, Romans 12:1 and 2. "Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." You can study every single word in these verses and find something new if you really dig into it each time. First, we need to look at the view we should have when daring to ask God to change your desires to His, and then being able to test and approve His will. Having permission to test and approve His will, it's a big deal. We need to know what mindset do we even come to the table with. Note that Paul does not say yield or surrender when he's saying present your bodies as living sacrifice. He's not saying surrender your bodies, yield your bodies. He's saying present them. And that's free will. God has this blessing He wants to give you, but the choice is ours because it's not a sign of just submission. He wants to be in relationship with us, ongoing. And the next step then is to see the word renewing. That's constant. It wasn't just a past tense of, oh, it was renewed, but it is renewing, present, ongoing. And that's essential because what aspect of our life, for some reason, spiritual matters, we feel like, oh, because I went to church on Sunday and then I did my Bible study, I'm good for the week. Our diet, we're not just supplemented one time for the week and that's it. Relationships, our education, all of it. It's constant, ongoing. And one of the biggest lies Satan will put into our own lives is that we can just be partial with this. And this is a constant renewal, but what happens when we do that? Well, it's two verbs in verse 2. We're either conforming or transforming. There is no neutral ground because it's either caught in the constant pressure of society, whether that's good or bad things, or it's dissecting how does God want me to filter things and I'm transformed by that before anything else. And that's so important to just take a step back and say, in those loneliest moments, am I even wondering which thing I'm resorting to? But if we want to be transformed to God's ways, how do we start? How do we offer our bodies as living sacrifices? Well, look at yourself in society. There's many ways, and it's like the first step to see what way of life we're choosing to live. It starts with our spiritual self, professional, sexual. Those are three areas where our body is used, and it's either for our own selfish ways or to glorify God. And that's where each one of you know exactly where you're at in this. The change starts now, as you're watching this video. You can do a few things. First, just pray to God to receive direction for change. And study each word of these verses. They're going to apply, and God's going to speak into them just for you. You have to allow Him and give Him that invitation. Then study what are you worshiping? Dare to ask God to remove your selfish desires and instill his desires into you. I dared to do it, and it changed my life for the better. It's given me the peace I've always wanted, the balance I've always wanted. Might not be circumstantial, but I know I'm doing what I'm called to be doing. And that's partially this video right here. And as you start feeling God direct you in different ways, he's giving you permission to test his will. Satan's the author of confusion. God wants to help filter it and show you what is right. So by taking things to him, when we offer ourselves as living sacrifices to know his good, pleasing, and perfect will, we then get to find out, God, is this you? Is this Satan? What am I hearing? What is this voice? And then he will obviously be sovereign and speak into your life and show you what needs to be done. I promise. You'll start feeling the Spirit, its direction, the weight of it. It's undeniable. And then your life is forever changed. So this might not be the blueprint of exactly knowing the steps that need to be had to go where you want to go, but it will put you on that path. And at least knowing what path you're on versus just floating along conforming to the world. These words are to bless you. This is just my experience, what I've learned from this verse, daring to ask God to change my desires to his. And I pray it can be a tremendous blessing to you